Hey friend, welcome to Healthy by Heather Brown. Do terms like mental health, intermittent fasting, and buzzy wellness words make you feel overwhelmed? If you don't know where to start with loving the life you already have and letting your good things grow until they become daily habits, I got you, mama. So join me as we unpack what it looks like to live a life well loved and redefine a new approach to health from the inside out. Think of this space as your girlfriend's group text with the occasional dad joke and point of view from my Yankee hubby, Eric. We promise to give you key takeaways that you can implement right away to pursue health in your mind, body, and soul because God made us that way. Don't stress. Let's hop on this Hot Mess Express together. Hello, girl gang. Welcome back to another episode of Healthy with Heather Brown. I am so excited to welcome you back and also super thrilled to welcome the one and only girl named Blake, which I made her tell me how to pronounce her name before the show, and I'm hopefully still not going to butcher it. It's Blake Guichet. Hopefully, yes. Okay, great. If you haven't run across her on Instagram, she's a writer and founder of the Crappy Christian Company, or Crappy Christian Co., which aims to teach women how to use their God-given gifts for the kingdom. She's the host of the popular podcast, Confessions of a Crappy Christian, a weekly podcast that specializes in conversations with guests about their passions, struggles, and all the things they aren't sure they can talk about. She's a proud Enneagram 8, American history buff, and playlist enthusiast, and her primary goal in all aspects of her ministry is to tell the truth while always pointing people to Jesus, which I think you guys know I can fully get behind. So with all that said, welcome to the show, Blake.
Yay, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're amped to have you. How long have you been podcasting now?
4.5 years.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm a rookie. I'm only in it like 2 years, so I'm very excited to have you on here and to learn from all your wisdom.
Well, I'm still a rookie, so you're good.
You say that. I'm like, no, you're doing great. But with all that said, will you tell us a little bit about how Confessions of a Crappy Christian got started? You have a book now. Tell us a little bit about how the business has evolved over the years.
Yeah. So the Confessions of a Crappy Christian, the podcast, it was actually my 30th birthday present to myself. So launched it on my birthday, put out the first 3 episodes. It just came from a place of wanting to have real kind of hard-hitting nitty-gritty conversations that I was having in real life and knew other women were in need of. And so 2019, the show did really well. I still had a full-time job. It was just a side thing that I did in my closet with my $20 Amazon mic and one of those TV dinner trays with my laptop on it.
Yes.
All of those early interviews, I just have a wall of clothes behind me because I'm in a closet, which is great. And I'm so thankful for the way things started. And then the world shut down. And as hard as 2020 was, it was a really incredible year for my family. First of all, we got to be together more than ever. My husband at the time was working a really intense job where he was just gone all the time, and that brought him home. But also, it kind of just allowed me, I was already having some of the hard-hitting conversations, but there was a lot that I wouldn't touch out of fear. I was worried it would drive people away, and I was still really worried about curating this platform. And 2020 was the year God kind of pulled the Band-Aid off and gave me the green light. Say the things, say them publicly, say them loudly. And there was a lot of potential for fallout. This is prime cancel culture time when the cancel mob is working overtime. But I think because I wasn't sorry that I was saying the things that I was saying, it's not that people didn't try, but people were really drawn to that. That was when I started actually talking about politics and kind of breaking things down, trying to bring them into layman's terms. We were in the craziest election year. And so from there, it's just kind of continued to grow. And we've added on coaching and courses for people who want to do similar things, who want to create content either for their businesses or for their ministry. I was able to retire my husband last year off of that and ad revenue, and the podcast has continued to grow. So yeah, it's definitely been a slow burn. I mean, 4.5 years isn't a crazy long amount of time, but it's definitely been just this steady growth, which I'm thankful for because it's allowed me to grow up at the same time to be able to handle things. But yeah, now I just get to do this full time, which is the dream.
That's awesome. So how did the book come into play and when did it come out exactly? I guess, and I would love to hear, even as an aspiring author, what that has looked like. Has it changed much about the behind the scenes of your business or not really?
So the book came out October of last year.
Okay.
But I signed my book deal in September of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Writing a book is typically a pretty long process. It was 2 years for me. I had a not ideal book publishing experience. And I
Same.
know that like my experience wasn't what a lot of people's experience is. I don't like love talking about it because I don't want to make it sound like writing a book is just this really terrible experience. But I got signed on by a very conservative Christian publishing house that once they got a hold of me didn't know how to handle somebody who colors
All the
outside the line.
spiciness. Yes.
Exactly. So there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of like contention. But ultimately, getting the book out into the world, I mean, it was fulfilling the dream of 12-year-old me. I've wanted to write a book forever. And it was incredible and also incredibly anticlimactic, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
the book comes out and you're, okay, the book's out. Like,
Please go buy it.
right. Like, I think some people's lives change really radically when they have books come out. Mine didn't. I don't think most people's do. So it is really incredible to be able to say, like, I wrote a book. Like, it's right there. Like, that's my book and it has my name on it. And it is my heart and soul. I just like bled out on the paper for 2 years.
Sure.
It didn't really change anything for me. I'm thankful that I did it. But as you could tell, like when I just went through the last 4 years, I forgot to mention that I wrote a book, so
right.
it was an experience and I learned a lot from it and I grew a lot from it. And I'm not 100% sure I'll do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. And I think that's a really cool perspective for people to hear, that it's not just all like butterflies and roses, like you,
Exactly.
12-year-old you might be thinking.
Right.
Yes. So what is your husband doing now? Is he helping you with the company? And you guys have kids, right?
Yes.
How old are they?
5 and an 8-year-old. My husband, Jeremy, left the job that he'd been at for 20 years last May. So May of 2022. And he took 8 months off where he was just Mr. Mom and he was just carpool and dad and he cooked a lot and relaxed. And he's been working since he was 17.
Wow.
Full
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I can't even put into words the gift it was getting to give him that and him being able to have the experience of what do I want? What does God want for my life? Not being stuck in the rat race, on the hamster wheel. And so, beginning of February, he started his own business.
Woohoo!
He is doing pressure washing because my dude loves to be outside. He loves to work with his hands. And this was just kind of dropped in his lap. And so it was definitely a transition going from being together 24/7 to he's working again, but it's so different. He brings the girls to school every morning and is home by the time they get home. Whereas before he was leaving before they woke up and was getting home 30 minutes before they went to bed. So pretty
so hard.
radical shift for our family in the last year, but it's been so good. But he did definitely help me with some things, allow me to kind of get my feet under me, get some of my processes more streamlined in that 8 months that he was like resting and recouping.
Yes, that's so great. Well, when you talk about that, it makes me think about how Eric and I have had major life transitions also, where he went from being a nurse practitioner, or excuse me, he's now a nurse practitioner, but he was an accountant. So I know, very different. So it's like, huh? And also, I'm like, yes, he is very smart. Like, obviously, you can tell that those two professions blow my mind on both ends of the spectrum. But the transition is always hard in a marriage. How have y'all kind of navigated what y'all's new normal looks like and how to respect each other's boundaries, but also be around each other more often? There's a lot that people don't talk about with that.
Oh, yeah. The biggest takeaway for us has been we essentially switched roles, right? So we went from primary breadwinner. I was making like a little bit of money, but not really. My job was being a homemaker and a mom. We switched and I became the only income and he was helping around the house and being around the girls more than he's ever been in their lives. At first, it was definitely we were button heads, and
Sure.
the girls and I had this whole life of just the three of us. And now dad's around all the time and he's telling them not to do things that I've always let them do. And we're just figuring each other out. And it was hard. Like last summer was difficult. It just felt rocky. And there was definitely space for both of us to be like, did we make the wrong choice? Like, should we have not brought you home? Because you're killing our vibe. And now I'm seeing the way that you parent, you let these kids do whatever they want, which I don't, but we're just two different people with two different worldviews. But then because we led into that with compassion and understanding and being really confident that this was God's next move for us, what that turned into was now we have such a deep appreciation and understanding for the roles that we have each held.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I can look at the first 10 years that we were together where he was just at work constantly, and I didn't understand that. Why don't you want to be with us? Well, then once you carry the weight of being the only breadwinner and paying the bills is completely on your shoulders, is very difficult to not live that way.
Yeah.
And for him
Totally.
to get to be around the girls and see why at the end of the day, sometimes I was like, don't touch me, don't talk to me. Like, oh my God, get away from me.
We've all been there.
Right. Like he has so much more compassion and empathy for that. And so it was hard. And I'm thankful that that season of it being difficult to learn to be around each other is over, but it gave us so much and just so radically changed our family.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So you've talked a lot about 2020 and 2021, and that's how I found you. I think was you were one of the few voices that were asking the same questions that I was like, I'm afraid to ask this out loud because I'm not a medical professional and I'm not like a pharmacist, but
Yeah.
things just aren't adding up. Like, what's going on here? But I know that, especially for Eric being in the medical field, I almost feel like in the beginning, he was like, please don't ask those questions online. Like, please let's just be aware of what we're saying and, all those kind of things. So, do you mind even talking with us a little bit about what it looks like from a marriage perspective for you to be so outspoken online? Was he always like, yeah, ask those questions, doesn't matter to me? Or how did y'all play that out?
He doesn't really care. He's
That's good.
asking a lot of the same questions. Me, I'm more of a, like, I've reclaimed the word conspiracy theorist. You're not going to shade me with that because, yes, 100%. I think most things are a conspiracy and I want to talk about it, not in a way that it's like eating away at my life. I just find that stuff generally fascinating. And so there are definitely parts of this that he's like, okay, I don't care. I don't want to talk about it.
We're done here with that
That's
topic.
so off the wall. But especially 2020, 2021, and still today, I think the only concerns he had was when it got to me mentally or even like
Mm,
physically, because asking these questions opens yourself up for just a whole world of hate and vitriol and just people saying the most disgusting things that I'm like, would you say that to somebody's face? Because if so, that's impressive. And the last 2-3 years have been this continual practice of learning to let that stuff go in one ear and out the other and not let it impact you so much. And so there were definitely times where people would say something terrible and it would get to me and he would kind of, is this worth the negative impact that it's having on you and your already fragile mental health?
yeah.
There are definitely seasons that I pulled back and didn't engage in that conversation as much. But I kind of had the mentality more of, no, I feel like I'm supposed to talk about this stuff. I got to stay in it and learn how to get tougher. I got to stay in it and learn how to get thicker skin. I got to stay in it and learn to let one opinion matter and that be
Yeah.
God's and let all the rest of them go. Or else, yeah, maybe I won't be asking these difficult questions, but that stuff will still be impacting me in my day to day.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about that, Blake? So we unpacked mental health a lot last season on the podcast, and I would love for you to speak a little bit into that. But I think that a lot of women, just in general, have always struggled with anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
just in general, because we have a lot on our shoulders in modern day society. But how do we almost temper what's going on in the world with recognizing that it's too much for our mental well being right now? Like, how did you know where to like draw that line? And what did God teach you during that mental health battle?
Yeah, so right after my book came out, I completely crashed and burned.
Mm,
Crashed and burned. And like apparently it's a whole thing. Like authors crash and burn after their books come out and nobody told me. And
okay,
then I
I hadn't
started
heard that.
talking to my friends that were authors and they were like, "Oh yeah. Thank you so much for letting
Where
me
was
know."
the warning?
Right, exactly. And so not only did I completely crash and burn, but like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the controversy. I couldn't do the coverage. I just genuinely didn't have the energy. There's a different layer to it when that's kind of what you built your platform on, right?
Sure.
Is my platform is built on Jesus. It is meant to glorify Jesus, but it is through the gate of talking about politics and talking about controversial topics. And so that was an identity crisis a little bit.
Yeah.
but was so good because it forced me to look at, hey, you're finding some of your identity in that you can talk about this stuff or that you ask the hard questions. And so the reason I decided to actually take a break was because I knew I wasn't doing it well anymore. And I was just actually having a conversation with my best friend about this because she was like, I'm just pissed off and I think I need to stay off of social media because I want to comment on everything and tell them how stupid they are. Honestly, that is a great litmus test for what your capacity is right now. And it's slowing down enough to be in tune with that of, hey, I'm being really snippy with strangers on the internet. That's on me, not them.
Right.
I'm gonna pull back a little bit. For me, it was I don't have to report on every crazy thing that happens because it's constant. 2020 hit and the news cycle went into overdrive on steroids. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's slowing down, it's creating boundaries, it's what are your priorities? I think it's a very multifaceted answer, but it was what can I handle and steward this well? And if I'm not stewarding it well, I don't want to steward it publicly.
That's really smart. Yeah. Do you even have local groups that you meet with that you even like talk with about this at all? Or is it purely you're processing with like friends online?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have friends in real life.
Okay.
Too.
Well, yes. I guess I'll give you my backstory. So there's a group of Christian women here that all kind of were like, a lot of us were at the same church and we were all like, we all have questions. You have the same questions. Like, that's crazy because it's hard to find people in 2020 and 2021 willing to even speak out loud that there are questions about things not adding up.
Right.
And so a lady at our church actually was like, do y'all just want to like start meeting once a month and get together? Because she was like, this is going to have to change at a local level. Like, we clearly can't trust like the big people up top to take care of it anymore. So in Birmingham, Alabama, what can we do? And I thought that was really just helpful and insightful. But then I will say there are days where I'm like, I can't click and open that message they sent in the group me because I don't have the mental wherewithal to be a good mom if I let my brain go down that trail right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not part of an official group. And we definitely do life with people who see things differently, who don't question every move that the government makes.
Right.
But we are also really blessed that like my family that we're really close with thinks the same and asks all the same questions. And so we spend a lot of time with them. So we're surrounded by people, not like in an official capacity, but the conversations that I bring to online are the ones that I'm having around kitchen tables.
Hey mama, do you feel like you are surviving on chicken nuggets and goldfish and haven't stepped in a gym since college? Or maybe, on the other hand, you feel like you're checking every health box and are still hitting a brick wall? Well, I'm here to help you redefine what it means to be healthy from the inside out. I'm a former fitness instructor and everyday mom who is passionate about helping you create a beautiful life you freaking love. So I'm opening the doors to the Healthy by Heather Brown membership to the public and can't wait to walk alongside you and be your cheerleader. When you join, you'll be added to my exclusive Facebook group. You'll receive my Sunday reset training that will help you create promising, sustainable, healthy choices from the inside out, which will in turn lead to a more joy-filled life for busy moms. Live coaching and workout classes with yours truly. You asked and I listened. We'll talk about how to balance your whole health when you have kids and life get busy with school and activities. It includes grocery haul ideas and accountability as we all reset together each Sunday. There will be so much offered that you won't find anywhere else on the internet. Are you ready to take one step out of stress, shame, unhealthy boundaries, and fatigue and add healthy rhythms to the Hot Nuts Express? When you're ready, I'll see you on the other side of the link in the show notes. I'm excited and ready to hold your hand and meet face to face.
That's so good. And I will say that what I appreciate about this Christian women's group that I'm in is that they're always like, you know, but at the end of the day, what we want to do is encourage each other towards Christ. And so when ish does hit the fan, that people know that we are believers and we want to point them back to Christ and they'll come to us with their questions. So it's almost like we're really hoping that us asking these questions make people, which I'm like, Blake, were you just talking about this the other day? You're almost hoping that when people start asking questions and they're like, wait, so the shot wasn't the answer, and wait, the mask wasn't the answer, then what is going on in the world? What is truth? That we're able to point them to Christ.
the government doesn't care about you pipeline.
Okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, it's where people start to realize that the government doesn't actually care about them, where we, especially as Americans, have been conditioned to count on the American government for everything from material to safety. And when people start realizing that the government doesn't have their best interest in mind, it sucks because some people will call this like predatory or like something like that. And I'm like, no, anytime somebody loves something and it changed their life, they're going to preach about it and they're going to want to pull people into it. So don't act like this is an exclusively Christian behavior. But when people start asking those questions, it's really easy to be like, yeah, no, the government doesn't care about you. I wonder who does.
Right. Yeah.
I think that there are people like us who are gifted in kind of standing at the entrance to the pipeline and going, yeah, that's a really good question. Let's talk about it. And then that question lends itself to another. And then next thing you know, these people that were off the wall leftists in 2020 and will tell you that are putting Jesus's name in their Instagram bio. And you're like,
what?
Won't he do it? Like only God can do that. And I just
So true.
see a pipeline has developed in the last 3 years that I think Christians like should be taking advantage of. And again, not in a predatory way.
Right.
This is the good news. Let's preach it however we can. Right.
Share it. Right. And I will say that I personally, and I feel like a lot of women, even in this group and people that I've talked to online have just been like, I am actually just brokenhearted because people will tell, I love our country and I have parents, grandparents, uncles that served in the military. It was almost like I had to grieve what I thought my life and what my country was, if that makes sense.
Same. And I still love my country. And I am still someone who I get real annoyed on July 4th when everybody uses that as an opportunity to like crap on America. I'm like, can we have this one day?
No.
Can we just have the one, like the red, white, and blue, please? But, you know, I'm hugely critical of the establishment while also trying to reiterate that I am only able to be critical of the establishment because we live in America, because we live in a place where you do have the freedom to worship and press and free speech. So it's like, I love what we are built on. I hate what we've become.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And I think it's a good reminder to pray for revival as well.
Right.
Like not just on our college campuses, but like reaching out. And I mean, I would love to see America come back to what it once was. So anyway, I'm like, that was quite the tangent. Okay, rein it back.
I love it. Yeah.
So speaking of what's going on in the world, I would love to hear your take, I guess like hot take on, you've just read the gluten-free book recently. I heard you talking about in your stories.
Yes.
Will you give us a little bit of information? Because we talk so much here about health and the mind, body, spirit connection with what you have learned about wheat for your body. And then also maybe just a little bit about food in general in your life, because I think so many people are waking up to like, oh, these things that I thought, quote unquote, were healthy maybe aren't as much as I thought. Will you just speak into your experience with that so far?
I would love to. I have not gotten to talk about this on a public level yet. And now I'm really excited. So I read Wheat Belly 2 months ago. So the whole beginning of the book is the creation of modern wheat and how just insanely modified for higher yield it is and what that is and all this kind of stuff. And I've always been really public about my mental health struggles. I've had a clinical anxiety since I was a kid. Doctors have played with bipolar diagnoses, like all this kind of stuff. So then I get to this point in the book where it's talking about wheat and schizophrenia, which I'm not schizophrenic, thankfully, but it is this study that they did where they took wheat out of their diet, out of these schizophrenics in a mental hospital's diet, 4 weeks sans wheat, and there were distinct and measurable improvements in the hallmarks of the disease: a reduced number of auditory hallucinations, fewer delusions, less detachment from reality. They then added the wheat products back in. Hallucinations, delusions, and social detachment rushed right back in.
Wow.
I mean, it's 3 chapters, maybe.
Yeah, y'all couldn't see this, but when I asked her about the book, she literally was like, oh, hold on. And she like grabbed it right from underneath her desk and was like, let me flip to the page and quote
I have
it for you.
Right here. So in that instant, I just got to see what it does. And it wasn't to lose weight. It wasn't to get clearer skin. It was, if you're telling me that this helped schizophrenics, could it help me? Now, the detox was terrible. which Wheat Belly prepares you for, but headaches and GI issues. And I was so depressed because it's essentially like crack. Your body interacts with gluten like it's a drug. But then this week, honestly, this is my 4th week and I've lost 10 pounds.
In 4 weeks?
In 4 weeks. Still eating dairy, still eating ice cream, still eating like pretty much the stuff that I want to eat.
Yeah.
I work out 4 or 5 days a week and I've always done that. I'm so much less inflamed, but my anxiety manifested really bad in the mornings. And so I would wake up and my levels were just so out of whack that it's like adrenaline would drop and cortisol would spike. I had sleep paralysis where I would start to wake up and then Jeremy would sometimes have to come in because I should have gotten up 15 minutes ago. And I'm just laying there like, I can't move. I can't get up. My body is frozen. Haven't had one of those instances in like 2 weeks. Used to happen multiple times a week. Feel so much clearer. I have so much more energy. And this is from someone who has been a serial diet culture dieter, do the thing, like whatever I had to do. And it came down to like the why of why I wanted to do it. And I think when my reason was I want to show up in my own life better, it's honestly been so easy. And it sounds obnoxious.
No.
Like haven't had gluten in 4 weeks and I don't want it because I feel better, not just because I've lost weight, but also because it's kind of poison. And like, that's why I said earlier, I was like, I'm just reclaiming the conspiracy theorist title because I'm out here like, y'all should quit eating gluten because it's poison.
Well, and I will say, like, you say that, but I'm like, people always say, and I used to always quote this to my Pure Barre clients when they walk through the door and they'd be like, I just don't know if I can do this. It'll be so hard. And I'm like, you already did the hardest part. You just got started.
Yep.
Getting started is literally the hardest part of anything you do in your life. Writing a book, starting a podcast, starting a blog, doing a diet, whatever. But I hate the word diet. Please don't use the word diet.
Right. No, it's not a diet.
Lifestyle change.
Exactly.
Because you want to get better 1% every day. They're like, Heather, we know, we hear you say this every episode. Please stop. But okay. Thank you for giving us that quick, gluten tip. I appreciate it. And then I do want to pivot just a little bit. In this season of the show, we're really diving into relational health. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but I talk a lot about mind, body, soul, like how all of that health is so interconnected and the connection between all of it. And our relationships play into that as well, because you think about the stressors or like when you and your husband are out of whack, you've got an issue going with your kids, you're stressed, like you were saying, all the hormones. Sometimes it's just hard to hold gracious relationships with people who don't hold the same opinions as we do, especially if it's political or related to current events. And I know you obviously have walked that out every day in and day out of your career. So what is your advice to someone wondering how to have good relationships with people they disagree with?
I think separating people from their opinions, right? Seeing that it's cheesy Sunday school, but they are made in the image of God, just like you are, even if you disagree, which forces you to hold on to your own secondary beliefs a little bit looser, right? There are a few things that are hills I will die on that are, we can talk about it, but I'm going to think you're wrong the whole time. And I can be kind about that. Jesus is a great example. Like, Jesus is a hill I will die on. Way, truth, life. There are not multiple ways to God. There is one option. He is the only option. I love dialoguing with people of other religions because I think that's how we like grow in our own beliefs, is when you can hear the other side and still go, nope, I still believe in Jesus. I still think Jesus is the option. So I think holding on to your own beliefs a little bit, not loosely. That's not what I mean. Because I still believe what I believe, but my identity isn't tied up in them. My identity isn't tied up in what I believe about politics or theology or culture. My identity is in Christ. You can't threaten that. Like, you can't mess with that. And that's why you see people get so upset when you threaten what they believe, is because it's tiny idols that they've made in their life that they are worshiping or finding their identity in. And when you threaten those things, it is incredibly uncomfortable. And so I think being able to see people through that lens, like if they do get really defensive, I feel like my whole answer to this is so therapy. It's just like all my therapy conversations.
That's
But
good.
it's just what wound is being poked right now that you're so upset, that you're so aggressive about this topic, because I have to see that in myself. Have you seen that TikTok trend where it's like me when somebody triggers me and it's like, shut up, I have to go to my mind palace. Like I need to figure out what part of myself is unhealed that you just triggered.
Sure.
Triggers show us what we need to heal from. And so seeing people through that lens and holding, like, I don't show up to the internet to change people's minds. If people's minds change, that's great. But I show up to give people language to talk about the things that they believe. And if people that don't agree with me enter that orbit and their minds end up changing, awesome.
Amazing. And I think that what you said so much, it even hits on like the LGBTQ issue. It hits on so many different things. Where even when people get so upset, sometimes when people do like yoga or like believe in the Enneagram, that's a big hot topic around here. I know it is for you too. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to cause you to falter. Like, so if me talking about the Enneagram, you were my friend in one-on-one life here, I'd be like, it's a trigger for my mom. My mom does not agree with it. She completely believes it is not something Christians should be touching. I don't talk about it with my mom, but does that mean that we don't have a good relationship? And I still think she's a Christian and she still thinks I'm a Christian. There's just things that, like you said, are not a hill to die on. And so it's okay to work around those topics. And if you know it's like a no-go for that person, don't poke the bear.
Just be respectful.
Yes.
Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so then this is like kind of a side tangent, but I saw you posted that video about the chickens. It was a reel that you posted and it went like crazy viral. And then I saw, sure enough, Instagram slapped up the like missing context stuff, whatever. Is there anything else in your food journey that you feel like you have learned or has changed that's also affecting your mental health, or even like, I don't know, the way that you shop? I'm just curious to hear what that's been like for you.
Going gluten-free is a pretty, like, that's an overhaul, right? Like,
it's pretty radical. Yeah.
Like we live in Southern Louisiana. Everything is breaded. Everything is fried. Everything comes on bread. Like, so that's been a pretty massive undertaking. But also having my oldest daughter, I don't like talk about her medical stuff publicly, but she has some stuff. And so we've been really trying to move away from like dyes and the really artificial stuff. Like I'm still going to let them have goldfish and I'm still going to, like I'm not going to be, but it's been really interesting. She's 8. So watching her kind of get it a little bit and be like, does this have dye in it? Because I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
Has been so cool because I'm like, I don't want to teach my girls that we're not eating things because we want to be skinny or because we're scared of it.
Yes.
Even. It is, I don't like the way this makes me feel. Like, I don't drink caffeine. I don't like the way it makes me feel. That's why we should be making these decisions and doing any kind of elimination or adding in. That's been pretty cool.
Okay, I do have to mention this now. So I'm a huge Revitalize fan, and I see that you drink it too.
Yes.
It is so good, you guys. So it's sold out right now, I think.
Out of
so
stock.
When this
Forever.
episode airs, if it's restocked, we'll put the link down below. But will you tell people what you use as like your caffeine alternatives to hype yourself up or like to focus on work? And maybe it's just Revitalize, but tell people what that is and how you use it.
Yeah, so I drink Revitalize and Optimize from Odair in the morning.
What is Optimize? I've never tried that.
Optimize is the one that's the folate and it's hydrogen.
Okay.
It's supposed to be really good for people who have the MTHR gene mutation.
Okay.
Kind of like supplements the things that are missing.
Sure.
Just started doing an adrenal cocktail in the afternoon.
Oh, hey, tell us about that.
And I'm so here for it. It's just like orange juice, salt, I do cream of tartar and collagen. And that's it. And I just like use my little
whiskey deal.
And I didn't have one yesterday. I have an alarm in my phone. It goes off at 2:50. So I drink it before I go to carpool because I was dragging in the afternoon. Like,
hang on, for people that are like, what is an adrenal cocktail? Will you explain a little bit about why you would take that, or like what is even it?
I don't even really fully know all of the science behind it. I'm going to be super honest. I was just like, I need something to get me over the afternoon hump, and it can't be coffee, and I don't want to waste my Revitalize. I don't want to like hoarding it because it keeps going out of stock. And so I think it was one of those crunchy
gals.
Instagram people. I can't even think of her thing, but
if you guys Google adrenal fatigue, you can check it out. I'm showing this to Blake on the screen, but I'm obsessed with this. It's Mary Ruth's brand.
Okay.
It's an organic adrenal and focus liquid drop. And I like it because I don't have to drink something. I like it to just be like, I literally keep it on my desk and I'm like, drop her in the afternoon.
Wait, I'm writing that down.
Okay. Mary Ruth's Organics adrenal and focus liquid drops. Boom.
Got it.
Done and done. So Blake, with all that said, is there anything else that you want people to know either about you, things that you've learned, any like classic Christian things that you want to tackle before I let you wrap it up?
The overarching theme of what I do is reminding people that the primary goal of the Christian life is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. And the pressure really is off. Like, He's as good as He says He is. And so we can all just collectively, as Christians, I think we just all need to take a deep breath, kind of like trust Him a little bit more, stop being so mad at each other. Are you glorifying God? Are you enjoying Him? That's really like the main question I'm asking people right now is, yes, even though the world is off the rails, even though everything is crazy, He hasn't changed. Are you glorifying Him and enjoying Him?
Yes, I love that. And one thing, Blake, that you were talking about earlier, and I meant to mention this, is I also really want to encourage people, because I know that God has been teaching me this personally, is like, I am not first taking my problems to Him. And so I felt so convicted about that in the sermon on Sunday, because he was like, do you truly bring whatever financial woes, whatever marriage woes, whatever issues you're having with your kids, like whatever it is, and even like physical health stuff, do you bring that to God? And are you actually talking with Him about it the way that you would talk with like your husband or your best friend about it? And I feel like my answer is no, I have not been. I'm just like, dear Lord, you know that this is bothering me. Can you please just like fix it? Well, that is not building my relationship with Him. It's not showing Him that I trust Him. It's me coming and making a demand. And so I'm really, really, really working on that. And I feel like so often right now we want to go to a doctor to fix it, a psychologist to fix it, a therapist to fix it. And we assume because they have the word like Christian tacked onto it that they even like, number one, are giving you actual biblical advice. But I would highly encourage you to, yes, like my husband's a nurse practitioner. I've already said that. Like, yes, there is a place for the medical system, but also when you hold it up to the truth of the Bible and you take it to the Lord also, are they all matching up or are they not? That's one thing that I'm just like, whew, God's taught me so much about that since 2020.
Amen.
Yeah. So, okay. All that to say, Blake, this is my final question. I ask this to everybody on the podcast. It is, what is your favorite thing in your health journey that's making you feel like yourself right now? And it can be anything that makes you feel like you, whether it be spiritual health, mental health, physical health, you name it, relational health.
I mean, I feel like I've really beaten this horse to death, but I am loving the ease of not eating gluten. Like, the giving something up in my health life has been super easy because of why I'm doing it. And that there've just been natural rewards to that aren't even what I was chasing.
That's so cool. And that also goes back to like finding your why. Like, no matter what change you're making, like you made that change because you found your why of like, I want to feel better. So whereas if you were like, I don't know, I think I want to lose like 5 to 50 pounds in the next 3 weeks, like probably not going to hit that goal because you don't know your why. Okay, awesome. Well, Blake, where can everybody connect with you online?
The Girl Named Blake on Instagram is where I'm most active. And then thegirlnamedblake.com will take you to everything: podcast, course, coaching, book, all of that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, Blake. We really appreciate you and your fearless commitment to bring truth and to seek the Lord while you're doing it. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys go blow up me and Blake on Instagram and let us know what you think about this gluten-free topic. And also let us know if you have ever asked questions that you've thought, why isn't anybody else talking about that? We would love to welcome you into our Instagram communities and have some real conversations with you. We truly adore it. And like we said, if you always come from a place of love and knowing that Blake loves the Lord, I love the Lord, and you love the Lord, we can find commonalities. And we just want to say that we love you and that the Lord loves you too. All right. Love y'all. Bye.
If y'all think I'm a little crazy, just wait till my favorite guest joins me in the marriage corner. It's my hubby, Eric. Okay, Eric, so I don't think today's episode is going to be very hard for you, but it's going to be hard for me. We've been told by our team that I talk too long with this podcast guest, and we really try to keep the episodes short so they're attainable to read. So we got to keep this under 10 minutes.
Well, that's a good thing because I'm known for my brevity. So sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes not the case. I'd be interested to see if people think that I talk too much when I'm in the marriage corner with you.
Mm.
They can just tell me to shut up.
I don't think that's going to happen, Eric. They love you. So I don't know. Leave us a rating and review down below and tell us if Eric should talk more, less.
I'm also open to constructive criticism. I'm a big constructive criticism guy. So just let me have it. Too many likes. One of our friends told me during one of our recent episodes when we talked about the chick flick movies that I said, that's a classic movie a lot, which I probably did. So I appreciate that constructive criticism.
Actually got a constructive criticism review that you guys can now go suss out and see it. But they say that I say a word too much. And in my head, I was thinking, yeah, I'm well aware. I'm working on it.
Could it be, do you want to say it?
Well, then they're going to think about it.
I know,
so no,
I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it. They know.
It's a common word.
It is. There was something you told me that your dad used to always work on you and Kyle and Janelle to not say. What was that word?
And like.
Okay, there you have it. And like, the two most overused filler words in the American
connectors. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep this marriage corner brief.
I'm going to have to work hard on that, but I think we're up for the task.
So one of the things that you wanted to talk about today was, and I think this is important, and it made me think about it just the other day. We were driving by my gym and Finn looked out the window and he said, "Oh, Daddy, that's where you go to work." And I said, "Close. That's where I go to work out." But I did think it was very interesting that he recognized that that's where I work out. And now a lot of times on Saturday mornings, you will go work out at your gym. You'll take the kids and they'll be at the childcare during your workout, which is a little bit before mine. So then I will take the kids to my gym and we will basically just switch cars. And as you're leaving your gym, I drop the kids off with you. And then, I go to work out and it works out pretty well. But obviously they're going to the gym a lot with you because they have the childcare. And then on Saturdays, they get to see my gym as well, too. And occasionally they'll come in and see the people working out. Now I go to a gym called Spartan Fitness that has kickboxing, jujitsu, strength and conditioning. And I think they really like to see that because you see people, hitting pads and wrestling and, sparring with each other. They think that is very interesting.
I think that, number one, it sounds like Spartan and Burn Boot Camp need to sponsor the podcast because we give them a lot of shout outs. Come on, guys.
That's true. I think Finn did say when he walked into my gym, he said, "It stinks in here." Now, granted, that could be right before this. We just got done working out and probably a little too much information. I took my clothes off and Heather, you said, "Man, it is amazing. You still smell even with your clothes off."
I did.
So, there is that.
Yeah, Eric did a good workout there, obviously. Also, you just must be extra potent in is it pheromones? What would make you stink more? I don't know.
So I have been on a low carb diet here recently. And when you do work out, basically, if you're on a low carb diet, you'll start burning fat before you burn other aspects. And basically, when you go into ketosis, basically, it's like you get that ketosis. I know that sounds weird, but it's basically like a different smell when you're in a state of ketosis, when you're working out and perspiring, than when you're eating more carbohydrates and sugars and things of that nature. So I can tell a difference when I change my diet, when I'm working out. Just, if I am in ketosis, I can literally smell it.
Ugh, yuck. But hey, it's working for you. Eric looks great. He's a lean, mean machine right now, let me tell you.
That's right. Thank you, Katie. All right. So back to the point, what I was saying is that Finn recognized where I work out, and it got me thinking about how important it really is for kids to see their parents working out, exercising, healthy diet habits. And I started to research a little bit, if there were any correlations between healthy parents and healthy kids. And one of the things that I came across, and this is on health.harvard.edu, and it says basically how much of your weight depends on your genes. So I know, granted, this is, part genetics, but I think part of it plays into a little bit of behavior as well, too. And basically what it says is that one or both of your parents or several other blood relatives are significantly overweight. If both of your parents have obesity, your likelihood of developing obesity is as high as 80%. So I thought that that statement was very interesting coming off of, like I said, health.harvard.edu. I never want to just say it's just behavior or it's just genetics. There's always multiple factors. As Heather likes to say, I like to use the term multifactorial a lot, but really that is the case for pretty much everything in life. Everything pretty much is multifactorial. There's a genetic component. There's a behavioral lifestyle component. I think depending on who you are, your opinion can kind of vary on that spectrum of how much you actually think is genetics and how much you actually think is behavioral and environment and things of that nature. I think it just goes to show just that 80%, if both parents are overweight or obese. Now, obesity is classified as BMI. It's a measure of height and weight, which people can get into debates about whether that's accurate or not. But anyways, there is a correlation, I truly believe, between healthy parents and healthy kids. Our kids are always modeling our behavior. And that's one of the things that I am so appreciative about you, Heather, is how from the very beginning when we were married and when we started having kids, you have always been a proponent of exercising with our kids, talking about healthy diet. But I just remember even when Leighton was first born, you were outside exercising with him, making it a priority to find the time. And one of the great things about Burn Boot Camp is they do have childcare. So, they get to come in, see their parents working out and exercising, all the benefits that provides. What are your thoughts on the relationship between healthy parents and healthy kids?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually just did a talk the other day in the Healthy by Heather Brown membership where I was quoting, and I can look up the organization. It was saying how you are essentially 65% more likely to work out and stick with a workout plan and see your goals hit if you have accountability. But then you're up to 95% more likely to do it if you have an accountability partner that is actually working out with you. And so I just thought, man, how cool is that our kids are going to have seen that modeled for them their whole lives, where you and I are holding each other accountable. I have friends at the gym. You've made friends at the gym that you even connect with outside of it. And it makes it so much more fun. I mean, humans are designed to be in community. So I think that they're going to have that modeled for them their whole life. Whereas I know I didn't growing up. And so I really want the buck to stop with me and to start help them making those generational changes for their health.
For sure. And I think sometimes, it's very easy to just get into the patterns of everyday life. And sometimes it is hard to find the time to exercise or go to the gym. And I don't think either you or me are saying you have to go to the gym or expose your kids to a gym environment. It's just a matter of making it a priority. Like I said, when you first started having Leighton, you would do exercises
in the backyard.
Out in the backyard. And even to this day, multiple times a week, you will go on a walk with the boys, us as a family go on a walk. Not only is it them seeing a physical example of a healthy lifestyle, if you're able to do that as a family, it's just a great time to spend time as a family, get away from that screen time and develop those conversations. It provides an environment to have good conversations.
Yes, that. And I also love how our boys are even starting to say, Mommy, is this how to have protein in it and make me big and strong? Because we talk so much about, if they're eating, I don't know, like Fruit Loops. I'm like, yes, it's making your tummy not as hungry, but is it going to make you big and strong? Like if you had a protein shake or that turkey? Probably not.
Yeah, for sure. And they always see us drinking our protein shakes. And you and I will both make them a protein shake at times too, to the point where they're requesting them. We also get them involved with helping to make the protein shake. So I have a protein shaker and they love to get the scoop, put it in there, fill it up with water, shake it around. And, you make it a whole process and they love to do that. Another thing I just wanted to reference real quick, and this is from clevelandclinic.org, and it says, how can I help my child if they have obesity? And one of the things it says in the mini lists, it says, lead by example. Parents have a direct effect on childhood obesity. If your child sees that you're physically active and having fun, they're more likely to be active and stay active for the rest of their lives. Another thing it says, another point, plan family activities. Plan activities that provide everyone in your family with exercise. These activities may include walking, biking, or swimming.
Jumping on the trampoline if you're in the Brown family.
And then the third one that you and I both talk about a lot, and we definitely try to make this a priority, is take a break from screens. Make an effort to reduce the amount of time your family spends doing stationary or sedentary activities. This includes activities such as watching TV or playing video games. You should limit your child's screen time to no more than 2 hours per day.
Yes. Amen and amen. I actually have had multiple people recommend to me this week that I listened to the Allie Beth Stuckey episode with a psychologist where he talks about screen time for adults and kids. So I'm going to link that in the show notes. I think you and I should listen to it too. But Eric, we did not beat the challenge. We went over 10 minutes. Dadgummit.
I just talk too much.
Yeah, you're the problem. Okay, well, we will sign off on that note, but just a quick reminder to please leave us a rating or review. It helps other people find our show and also helps inspire them on their health journey and their kids, as you just learned from Eric's studies he quoted. I'm going to read one podcast review and then we'll sign off. Thank you so much to Shanna, who said there is so much harmful messaging out there for women. I love the real practical help this show is giving to help women be healthy. Everything from the pelvic floor to sleep to hormones to realistic expectations after babies. Plus, Heather drops enthusiastic amens and preach all the time, which makes me smile and are infectious. Love this podcast.
It's so true. I hear those every day and I still love them.
Too good. Okay, bye. Talk to y'all next time.